Between 2003 and 2008, there have been 2 consecutive Star Wars cartoons: Star Wars Clone Wars, directed by Genndy Tartakovsky, and Star Wars The Clone Wars, directed by Dave Filoni. Narratives which, despite being presented in 2 different visual mediums, still complement each other, maintain their own merits, and are both worth experiencing. In my opinion, there are just about as many reasons to watch one Clone Wars as there are for the other. For me, the 2-dimensional Clone Wars series is all about the action. There's not as much dialogue or witty banter from the original Star Wars trilogy, but the fight sequences feel alive and organic, a tour de force of animation, action choreography, and sound design that contribute more to the story than any of the dialogue sequences. The design philosophy to show rather than tell is a consistent theme among Genndy Tartakovsky's work in animation, because if your story can be told within the show's dialogue, then there's no real need for people to actually watch it. It's not a radio program, it's a visual medium, so your storytelling should at least have something to do with the visuals of your animated series. And Clone Wars is a perfect example of this. Here, Anakin Skywalker isn't just characterized by his dialogue, but by the show's use of color and facial expressions that convey exactly how he is feeling. And this action sequence with Mace Windu does so much more for the character than anything else in the entire franchise. The 2D Clone Wars may not be canonical anymore, but since Genndy Tartakovsky isn't really interested in directing any Star Wars material again, this might be your only opportunity to see his unique take on the universe with his specific style of visual storytelling.
I don't know, I mean, I feel like I've contributed to the Star Wars universe, whether they like it or not, and then I'm kind of done, I think.
By contrast, the 3-dimensional Star Wars The Clone Wars is more about the characters. We actually get to see Anakin Skywalker act like a heroic protagonist so that his eventual fall from grace is more profound, and the clone troopers are more like actual human beings with their own different personalities. The only problem is, this Clone Wars isn't nearly as reliable in terms of its quality, because while the show certainly improves upon its lackluster first season, every now and then you still get an episode that doesn't really contribute anything worthwhile, so my recommendation is to watch the show selectively. Because this is an anthology series, you can give yourself a narrative through line by tailoring your watch order around specific story arcs that have specific characters in them. You can watch the series from the perspective of Anakin's apprentice Ahsoka Tano, as she grows into her own person and learns that maybe she shouldn't be a child soldier anymore. Or you can watch bounty hunters like Cad Bane working for the underworld. You can witness Asajj Ventress fight in a 3-way duel against Count Dooku and Savage Opress, which even ties into a story arc that brings back Darth Maul. Or you can watch the show from the perspective of various clone troopers as they rise through the ranks and find themselves in emotionally challenging situations. I highly recommend the conspiracy episodes with ARC Trooper 5s, or better yet, the Umbara story arc from Season 4, because in my opinion, that is the best group of episodes that the entire 3D Clone Wars has to offer. Or at least, that's what I thought, until I watched the final 4 episodes of Clone Wars Season 7, which actually managed to tie up nearly every plot thread into one cohesive story where we see the Mandalorian Civil War, the Order 66 conspiracy, Darth Maul, and the Clone Troopers all tie into Ahsoka Tano's journey as a character. This arc even has the original Star Wars theme in it, and boy is it fantastic to hear again. However, if there's one thing that the 3D Clone Wars absolutely falls flat on compared to its predecessor, it's General Grievance, a character who was once framed as an overwhelming antagonist in the 2D Clone Wars series. but then goes on to be a near pushover in the 3D series. While this may be more in line with Grievous's depiction in Revenge of the Sith, having him fight Obi-Wan Kenobi more often and lose all the time makes it less significant when they have their final showdown in the movie. So I kind of wish that I could just take all the scenes with Dave Filoni's version of Grievous and replace them with Tartakovsky's version. Or maybe I just want to fuse both of these two different cartoons together so that I can watch something that has the best of both worlds, and I don't have to decide between one or the other. But maybe I never really had to. The early 2000s may not have been the best years for the Star Wars franchise in terms of their theatrical films, but my favorite things to come out of that time period were the retro-futurist aesthetics, the ship designs, as well as both Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars and Dave Filoni's The Clone Wars. If you want a Star Wars cartoon that takes place during the original trilogy era, Dave Filoni did go on to help produce Star Wars Rebels, but in my opinion, that show kind of declines in quality as the series progresses, and isn't as much of a specific narrative as either of the two visions of Clone Wars. Tartakovsky's vision adds new insight into the transformation of Darth Vader, provides a unique take on the universe, and serves as non-canonical bookends to Filoni's vision, which focuses more on character development for different individuals with nuanced conflicts that effectively challenge them. You don't have to choose between watching one or the other. You have the freedom to watch them however you want, in whatever order you want. The freedom to skip some episodes, the freedom to organize other episodes as you see fit, and the freedom to not watch a show at all if you don't have any interest in it. The galaxy is your oyster, and I'm sure that you'll find something worthwhile in every iteration of the Star Wars Clone Wars.